We just got one of the biggest Quest 3 updates ever, as well as some insane VR game news that you don't want to miss. So let's dive right into it. Now Meta has finally released their massive software features that will entirely change how you use your Quest headset. Because the first thing that you will probably directly notice is the complete new overhaul of the user interface. And this brand new system that will replace your old menu is also known as the Navigator. Now to open it up, you just press the Meta button like you're used to, and it will then directly display your library. But luckily, you will still also find your basic functions like your environmental options and camera, as well as your Wi-Fi, time, and battery life. But since all of these have gotten a new location, it might take you some time to get used to it. Take the People app as an example, where you can just click on it to activate it, or press the Meta button to quickly opt out and back into your menu. Or if you want to record some gameplay, then you can now quickly press the camera icon and see all the options that are available. And while the quick controls menu is still there, the options that you can do within it have changed quite drastically. So if you can't find something anymore because of these big changes, then it might be worth to check out the Helps and Tips application that comes pre-installed on your headset. However, it is also possible that you still have the old system, but don't worry at all. Since with all Meta updates, they tend to roll out slowly depending on your location as well as the headset that you have. But eventually, these brand new features should all be coming to both the Quest 3 as well as the Quest 3S. And definitely let me know what you think of this new design in the comments below. And on top of that, there are also some other features that have been added with this as well. A great example of this is that you can now select multiple windows that will follow you around as you move in virtual reality. And while it was already possible to let one of them move with you, right now, that limitation is completely taken off. And that same goes for the new important feature known as text-to-speech. Now this will allow you to hear text spoken out loud by just hovering over it with your controller on your screen. But currently, this is only compatible with certain menus and app services, so it isn't supported yet in most games or applications. But another change that you might have missed is that Meta rebranded their Quest Plus subscription service to what we now know as Horizon Plus. And this is still Mark Zuckerberg's version of a VR membership, similar to something like Xbox Game Pass, but then for virtual reality. But the rebranding to Horizon Plus doesn't change anything fundamentally of how the subscription service works. So you will still get your 2 monthly games, as well as the access to their ever-growing game catalog. But Meta was not the only one with some big VR news, because none other than Google showed us a first look at their upcoming VR headset that they are working on together with Samsung and Qualcomm. And this new piece of hardware is also known as Project Moohan. And while they didn't reveal many of its specs just yet, they did mention that the focus of the device will be both for mixed reality as well as VR. And that goes without to say that the design looks very similar to the Apple Vision Pro. But maybe most important is that they also said that it will be available later this year. So I am sure that we will get a lot of big news about it in the near future. However, we also had some crazy VR game news that you don't want to miss out on. But before we get into that, let's have a quick word from the company that made this video possible. Because none other than Cat VR, who are known to create VR treadmills that look like they come straight out of Ready Player One, are taking VR once again to the next level. Because while we normally are limited by the space and boundary system inside our virtual reality experiences, it is Cat VR that has been creating VR treadmills that let you run, crouch, and jump without any limitation. And since their most recent version, that is known as the C2 Core, is compatible with nearly every headset, it is often also considered as the dream upgrade for any VR setup. And they even go so far that for those hardcore fans, they also have high-end models that include things like haptic feedback or a vehicle hub, making it feel even more realistic, like riding on a horse inside VR. And as a cherry on top, you can also use the code VRelity for a $130 discount on your entire purchase. So for those who are interested, I'll leave a link in the description below. And that gets us to the VR game news, with directly one of the biggest announcements that the highly rated Oblivion Remastered can now also be played in virtual reality. Now the reason for this is that the Elder Scrolls 4 has been brought over to Unreal Engine 5. And that means it also opens up the game for modders that can get it running on, for example, their Quest headsets. Now of course, do keep in mind that you will definitely need a buff gaming PC to run this, as well as a copy of the original Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered for PC. Luckily, either the one from Steam or the version from Xbox PC Game Pass will do just fine, so that's pretty damn cool. But some sad VR news is that Minecraft has dropped their official VR support. And that means that both the PlayStation VR as well as the PC VR versions have been all shut down in the latest Bedrock update. Although, there are still some unofficial ways that can let you play Minecraft on both your Quest 3 as well as your other VR headsets, with the easiest one being to install a mod like Questcraft and play directly from within it. But since this setup isn't that easy, I'll make sure to leave a step-by-step guide in the description below on how to do this. But that gets us to the release of a brand new game known as Mesmer, and this is probably one of the biggest hidden gems that you need to try out. And the easiest way to describe it is that it is a music visualization app that combines sounds with interactions and visuals that almost feel like you're in a dreamlike state. But the cool thing is that unlike many other similar titles, is that in here, besides the built-in music tracks, you can also select radio or even your own list of songs that you have on your headset. And once you've found a song you like, you will be diving into an ocean of visual effects that you really need to experience firsthand to truly understand. But the cool thing is that besides the eye candy, you also have the ability to interact with your environment in different ways that kind of keeps things fresh and make you want to come back for more. Although some of the experiences can get pretty intense, so keep that in mind. But if you've always wanted to earthbend, then the upcoming game known as Adept's Arena might be perfect for you. Because in this indie title, you will go through a first-person adventure that will drop the Avatar-inspired earthbending ability directly in your own hands. And this includes things like blasting flying rocks at your enemies, as well as pulling up pillars or even pull up some protective structures mid-fight. And according to the developers, the gameplay itself seems to focus more on sandbox-style levels, where you will fight in an arena and try to survive against waves of enemies. But by far, one of the biggest VR game news is that VRChat is now opening a new marketplace where you can both buy and sell your own VR avatars. And this is actually a pretty big deal, because while there were already some popular third-party marketplaces, it was also possible to just visit someone's VRChat world and directly buy or sell an avatar from within it. However, the company has now rolled out a centralized marketplace to find and purchase your avatars, and that should make it a lot easier for some VRChat avatar creators to make some big money while they're at it. But some other cool VR game news is that the title, known as Iron Rebellion, got a big free new update that adds in a bunch of new content. Now, if you don't know this game yet, in Iron Rebellion, you will be piloting one of these huge mechs and drive them into battle. But while the full game launch took nearly 4 years to complete, the developers just keep on adding some insane new stuff without showing any sign of slowing down. For example, they have now added 2 new maps, as well as a new camo system that will give you the tools of full customization. So you can create anything from some stealth blends to aggressive high contrast designs and change up your mech to your own liking. But that's not all, because there are also some really important things that you should never do with your MetaQuest headset. So make sure to click on the video that you see on screen right now to make sure you don't miss out on that. And of course, stay awesome.